What would you say you do here?
It's the Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast. A podcast dedicated to up-and-coming bands, labels, artists, and more. Plug in and join your host, Brad Nunnery, as he dives deep into what the future of music has to hold and discover something new along the way. What else do you have to do?
Hey, what's up? It's Doug with Dreams of Vertigo, and you are listening to Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast. Now, where are my pants?
That's the latest song and music video from our friends in Dreams of Vertigo. It is called A Dopamine Machine. Dreams of Vertigo are a really killer pop punk band based out of San Diego, California. Thank you so much to Doug for recording that promo for us. And I think I can speak for all of us. We hope you found your pants. All right, good stuff. What's up, everybody? My name is Brad Nunnery. Welcome to Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast, season 2, episode 8, presented by 1603 Designs. Set to talk with me today is Anssi Odorant, the frontman and guitar player from the band The Odorants, a really killer pop punk band with a little dark humor mixed in. They are from Finland. They dropped a brand new record called Love Songs Never Die in January. It's one of my favorite records of the year. I'm going to talk to Anssi all about that record, what went into it, their previous work, the band's history. We're going to talk about his love for surfing and metal, life in Finland, and we're going to dive deep into some of these music videos that they've been doing. They have a lot, like this one. It's called Car Radio, and it's on Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast. Anssi Odorant, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Really do appreciate it, man. So good talking to you after quite a while. We've been talking together since when Tigers Used to Smoke, the record back in 2021. How are you doing, by the way? How's everything going?
Thanks, man. All good. Waiting for the summer to finally come up here, but it still takes maybe a month or so. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I was always curious because you're in Finland, right?
Yep. I live in the north of Finland. Rest of the guys live in down south. I live near the Arctic Circle, actually.
Oh, do you really? And is it still pretty cold there, or is it cooling off, or?
Yeah, it's still the nights are -10 easily Celsius, and the days are now finally getting like +4, 5.
Wow. And when does it start like actually warming up to where you don't have to worry about the nighttime and all that kind of stuff out there?
Roughly in a month, and then when the
Yeah.
June comes, and June, July, August, those are the warmest month, and then we can easily like also the plus 30s Celsius.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah, big
that's insane.
contrast, you know.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Yeah, it's already warming up really really well here. We had some really cool days, like almost California weather for a little while. It was chilly at night but really warm during the day and no humidity. But in Florida, I mean right now it's starting to get humid and it's almost unbearable. I don't know if you've been to Florida before in the summertime, but it's almost unbearable. I've been here my whole life and it's just you walk out of your house and you're immediately sweating and you have to take a shower by the time you go home from the grocery store.
I was actually 10 years ago. I was in the fest in Janesville, the fest
Oh, were
festival.
you?
Have you?
Oh, the
Yeah, have
band
you ever
played
been
there?
there?
Um,
No, 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 no. Just as an audience.
just an audience, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've talked to a lot of bands on this podcast before, and unfortunately, the fest always happens around Halloween, and I've got 3 kids, and so
Oh yeah.
it's like trying to ramp them up and try to get their costumes ready in order, and Halloween parties and this and that, and it's always on the wrong weekend that I can't go and do it. This weekend, or actually this year, it's the weekend prior to. But it's
Okay.
still a little bit too close for me. But I always wanted to go. It's only an hour and a half away. There's a lot of
Oh really?
killer bands this year, um, and I hate to miss it every year. And if I'm gonna go, I want to go for all 3 days. I don't want to go just for one day. And I want to buy that VIP package and just see anybody and everybody. Have you
Oh
only
yeah.
gone once? Have you gone multiple times?
No, no, it was only once, like 10 years ago, but it was an amazing festival, one of the coolest festivals I've ever been to, because it was located in the city and there was just different
Yeah.
clubs, just like different stages on the big festival, but they were all like different clubs, so it was really, really cool. I loved it.
Yeah, I actually saw my first Gainesville show because I don't travel very much for shows. I went down to St. Pete about a couple of years ago, but a couple of months ago I went and saw a band called Ballyhoo in Gainesville at the High Dive, and it was really cool to
Yeah, high
actually
dive.
go to
Yeah.
Gainesville. Yeah, I went to Gainesville. We have a friend that lives there that works for the University of Florida, and so we showed him Ballyhoo, and it was good to go and see a show in Gainesville. Unfortunately, it wasn't Fest, but it was still good to get out of town and actually see Gainesville and see a show in there. And I know that there's a lot of great bands that come from there too. So it was really cool. It was a really good time.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Cool city. Cool
Yeah.
city.
All right, so we started the podcast off and played your music video. I think it was probably the first music video from the new album, Love Songs Never Die. It's called Car Radio. Was that the first music video you did for the album?
Yeah, actually, it was the first video that we did. We did it back here where I live. The drummer Jaakko, he does all the music videos because he's like a professional doing that kind of shit. So,
Oh
but it was
wow.
just like a shoelace budget. Well, shoelace would be like a
Yeah,
too like an understatement. We didn't have
sure.
any budget at all. But he has drones and shit and the cameras, so it was just one day having a fun and easy
Yeah.
shoots.
Yeah, it was it looked totally professional and it was awesome and it was and I've got a lot of questions about because I'm a music video buff as you could probably tell by my site and the podcast because I'm an 80s kid. I've always loved music videos. And so if Jaakko did it and does he do all of your videos because you guys have a lot of videos out for this record?
Yeah, the funeral and the Transylvania shredder, he was like, well, it was like his vision, but he had his mates. He like
Oh,
asked a few
gotcha.
favors for his friends to, with the better cameras, come and shoot it, and also with the
Gotcha.
lighting. He had a friend to help with the lightings and shit. But it was basically Jaakko's all ideas and all that shit that's involved in the videos that I don't know shit about.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's so much involved. There's so much involved, and it always blows me away how you can,
Yeah.
kind of either tell a story or you're doing a performance video. It always blows me away how they, directors and people who do that put everything together and make it look great. But I noticed with this video, there's kind of a story here, and I want to kind of figure out what the story is because I've been listening to the Odorants for the past like 2 weeks because I know I was getting ready to talk to you, and it's been the Odorants, for quite some time, and all these songs are stuck in my head. But I know with this music video, I was watching the music videos the other night, and I was like, this is about somebody, but then it was kind of weird. It was I read the lyrics and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. And I'm watching the music video and you bury somebody. And I thought it was really cool that you bury somebody with the records. And I want to know who you're burying with the records and what's the backstory of the music video?
Absolutely. But I have no idea who we are burying. No idea. I remember getting a message from Jaakko, like, because he had an idea that we are driving somewhere. And then we he found this cool location near the river back where I live, because he has a summer cottage here also. So he was driving around and
Oh,
see
cool.
some locations to shoot it. And he was like, "Well, what should we do when we arrive somewhere?" And then he was like sending me a text message that, "Should we bury something like a body of somebody?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that. Let's
Yeah.
let's bury somebody." So, but it's nobody. He just had an idea like, let's just bury
Yeah.
somebody and throw some records on the pit also.
Yeah. I'm just curious, what records did you throw in there? What records were those?
I just grabbed what I have here in my home, but it was actually it was the Odorants. Tigers used to smoke LP, and our bass player PC, his old band Circle. It was one of those records, and I can't remember the two. It was just some random records. No
Yeah.
meaning on those records actually.
No, no, it's all good. And you're talking about a shoestring budget, but I mean, it's really well done. I love all your videos,
Yeah.
the way that you do it. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do it, and what in the same vein as far as that, I know it does cost a lot, and it's probably pretty good to have somebody that in your band that's able to do all those kind of things, because not a lot of bands have that budget or have those people in the band to be able to do music
No.
videos. So it must be pretty good, pretty great to have somebody be able to do that, right?
Oh yes, yes, yes. If Jaakko wasn't in the industry, we probably wouldn't make any videos, because it's so
Yeah.
expensive. Those cameras cost a lot of money, and especially when we shoot the two videos in the studio, those lightings and everything around it
Yeah.
costs too much for a little punk band.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of the little punk band, let's go back, to try to find out more about you and get into the history of the Odorants. You guys were formed in 1995. Was that back in high school? When did you guys originally form the band?
Yeah, I think it was 94 or 95. None of us really remember that well anymore, but it
Yeah.
was 94 or 95. It just happened, like most of bands, just accidentally. Me and
Yeah.
the other guitarist, we've been like these metalheads. We had a little metal band or something like that. And then when I met Jaakko, like years before, he was into rap music actually, and I listened to a lot of rap music from
Yeah.
him. And then we finally meet again after a few years, and he was listening to punk all of a sudden. And I was like, "Hey, we are listening to punk rock too. Should we start a band?" And he was like, "Yeah, I don't know how to play anything." And we were like, "Yeah, you can play the drums." He was like, "Yeah, okay, I play the drums." He didn't have any
Right.
idea how to play drums. And
Yeah.
then we were thinking about the singer and the bass player, and the Jaakko says like, "Oh, he knew a guy from his high school, because we were in the different high schools. And I know this guy who can speak English pretty good, but he can't play shit. So we're like, but it's bass, just press here and here and here and just sing." And
Right.
that's
Yeah.
how we started.
No, that's awesome. And why did you choose, being from Finland and, not your native tongue as far as, English is, what made you to decide to, record and sing and, create English music? Was it just because of the love of, the influences you had growing up, or?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. I have no idea why, but we never even talked about singing in Finnish language. Never, ever. It was
Yeah.
always English, but it's because of the years and years and years of listening to English language music. I guess that's why we decided to sing in English. I was maybe 7 years old when I heard Kiss and Wasp. Those are my like the first influences, and ever since
Yeah.
then I've been listening to rock and roll English language music.
Now, did you know English when you were 6 or 7? I mean, not just by listening to Kiss, but did you know how to speak it, or you just kind of
No,
like figured it out?
Yeah, you when Wasp was singing the "I Want to Be Somebody," I don't know if you remember that song. It was
Yep.
just "Be Somebody Boo." It doesn't mean anything to me, but it sounded
Right.
cool. So I had no
Yeah.
idea what they're singing about.
And when did you finally start getting into like understanding and started, kind of talking and in English?
Yeah, it was. I think we start to learn English at school in fifth grade or something. I can't remember what age, but fifth grade we start like learning English. And then when you start to learn English, you don't have to read subtitles anymore. Because when you
Yeah.
are young, you're watching cartoons in English, or you have to have your mom and dad who are like reading the
Right.
subtitles. But then when you slowly starting to learn English, then you forgot about the subtitles and just watching the movie or the cartoon, and that's one of the biggest things to learn English, I think.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, we didn't start until like high school, like having to take different languages, and Spanish is a huge language here in Florida, and I've taken
Uh-huh.
Spanish so many damn times and try to self-teach myself because there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people here, and I love the language, and I know all the
Yeah.
curse words, but I never
Yeah.
never really dug into it. But that's awesome, man. So you were talking and getting back to you were into metal and Yako is into rap, and you and I were kind of going back and forth because I posted a thing about Easy E, and when I
Oh
first
yeah,
started
that was
out,
cool.
my first heroes or musical heroes were rap artists, West Coast rap. I loved NWA,
Hmm.
DOC, DJ Quick, all that kind of stuff. So when you guys, what kind of conflict was that, or was that kind of introducing each other to other kind of music, and what were you into as far as metal? I know you like Kiss and all that kind of stuff, but what kind of metal were you into at that time?
Well, actually, I was listening to a lot of Florida metal back then when me and Jaco met. Like the Obituary, Morbid
And Death
Angel,
and all that
Death.
stuff? Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
all from Florida, actually.
Yep.
So I was listening to a lot of those, and then we played basketball together on the same team, but we lived in the different cities. So when first we met, I had like a Obituary T-shirt on, and he has Public Enemy T-shirt on or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he asked me like, do you know Public Enemy has done like with Anthrax, they did the Bring the Noise song together, where there was
Yes.
like trash rock, heavy metal, and the rap.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I've never heard of it. And then he played the song. I was like, holy shit, this is cool. And then I borrowed all the rap records from him, and I started to listen to rap also. And Ghetto Boys was one of my favorites.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Ghetto Boys
Halloween fell a week
self-titled,
on the
fuck him.
weekend. Yeah.
And the "Fuck 'Em" song, actually, that's maybe like the punkest songs I've heard.
Yeah.
That's punk rock. To me back then. That was
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is punk rock. Fuck 'em.
Yeah, I remember listening to NWA and just in Easy E and all these the just foul mouth, just telling these stories, and I was like, man, I was intrigued, and we didn't have a huge punk scene, or I didn't know too much about punk until I was like late into high school when the Offsprings and the Green Days
Hmm.
came out and all that kind of stuff. I was into metal like you. I was in, Faith No More one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Mike Patton fan. The first
yeah.
real true metal band I got into was Fear Factory, and I just bought it because they were on Roadrunner Records, and so I got into metal that way. And then I had a friend introduce me when I got into the military about punk, like real true punk stuff, not just the stuff that was playing on radio, and I was like game over, and I just wanted to know more and more. And yeah, it was
Yeah,
such a transition. Over the years, you go from listening to rap to the punk metal. The older you get, the more kind of open you are to listening to different genres, right?
exactly. Yeah. How old were you when you were listening to those Easy albums back home with your mom and
I
dad?
I was in middle school, so it was
So what age
1988.
is?
I was like
So what
13,
age?
13,
Okay, okay.
14.
I couldn't imagine listening to those
Yeah.
that kind of language around your mom and dad. It would be impossible if you translate it into Finnish language. It's
Oh man, I
too bad, too
we had
bad.
like this we had this like long hallway in our house, and I inherited my sister's stereo, but every time you would adjust the volume, it would crackle. So it would go,
Hmm.
it was like one of those old school ones, and I turn the
Yeah.
volume up, and I would just, and I still know all the lyrics by heart. 30 years later,
Yeah.
But just and every time they would pass, I would see if they were like paying attention, and I would turn it up a little bit louder. My mom would come in like, "Hey, what do you want for dinner?" And like Easy E is like, just I mean I can't even repeat it right now, but it's
Yeah.
Easy E stuff. And my wife,
Yeah.
my mom's like, "Oh, do you want macaroni and cheese? You want hot dogs?" And meanwhile, there's Easy E playing in the background. They never said anything because I think my two older sisters.
You had cool parents.
Well, I think my two older sisters wore them down, and they're just like, yeah. And I was the only boy, and they're like, just let him do what he wants to do. So I never got any shit for it. So no, it's all good.
Awesome,
right,
awesome.
So let's talk about you guys, being in '95, but you didn't release any true music, well, at least that I know of, until 2007, right? Or did you release any music?
No,
before
no.
2007?
We had many like demo EPs done.
Okay.
I think we did our first demo cassette. It was 97, I think so. 97 we had our first cassettes. And then we did some demo CDs early 2000, but it was just like hand selling those. I can't remember how many we even pressed. But then 2002 we made our like debut album, but it was on the big label B&G. I don't know
Oh,
how they even like booked us, but they drop us off pretty soon, maybe a year, and then they
did they?
dropped us. And then we made another record with the smaller label on this city that we used to live. They had a big festival also, so we did one album with them, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys, and I see you guys went on hiatus in 2009. What brought on the hiatus? Is you guys just want to take a break? Was it, jobs and family,
Yeah,
or?
yeah, just a normal growing up, kids, families, work. There was no fighting or anything. It was just a normal way of life, continuing without the hobby of music, you know?
Yeah, sure, sure. And then when you decided to reform in 2021, what was the catalyst of let's get the band back together? Was it the pandemic or?
Yeah, no, no, it was before pandemic, maybe like almost 2 years before pandemic. I just had these songs written, and I asked Jaakko to come where I live. Like, would you want to jam, get drunk, and just
Okay.
have fun of it? And then we met like maybe a few weekends, 4 or 5 weekends, and the songs started to come up more and more, like getting into more and more like real songs, not just jamming. And then we decided, like, man, should we just make something out of it? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. And the rest of the guys were like, yeah, maybe not to like, they didn't have that much time. So I asked my coworker PC, like, would he like to play bass on the record? And he listened to the songs and he was like, yeah, I could do it, because he's like a proper musician. He has
Is he?
a shitload of bands, so he's the actual musician in our band. But yeah, and he came on board, and then all of a sudden we were a band again. And actually we decided to put another name, like not the Odorants. But then the PC, the bass player, was like, how come you don't just call yourself, oh hey, get the fuck out, cat. Yeah, like how come you just don't call yourself the Odorants? Because Jaakko and me are in the band, singer and the drummer. So we were like, yeah, maybe we should just call it again the Odorants. So
Yeah.
that's like
So
the short version of the story.
sure. And what is the significance of the odorants? What's the significance of that name?
Significance? What do you mean?
The name the odorants?
How did it get
Yeah,
the
what's
name?
the kind of the meaning of the name? What is the odorants? Just
there's no there's
no,
no idea.
nothing behind it.
Yeah, no, nothing behind it. We were talking about the new name back in the late 90s, and the bass player actually was like, what about deodorants? And we were like, what? Like the odorants, deodorant. And we're like, okay, that's funny. Let's do it. Nothing
Oh,
meaningful in that.
no, no, plain and simple. I love it. I love it. So
Yep.
when you guys started, when you guys kind of got back and started making more music, did you wanted to get back on the punk rock train, or were there discussions of maybe we should go in another direction, or was it always punk rock? And
Yeah, it was always punk rock in this little melancholy way that we always used to play this kind of music. But yeah, we never talked about anything. We didn't talk about let's make a punk rock. We just like let's make
right.
another Deodorants album.
No, that's awesome. And what's and being in Finland, as far as going out and playing, is there a good punk scene out there, or what's the scene like out there? Are there a lot of places to play?
No, there's not like this kind of pop punk music scene. There is actually just barely. But in Finnish language, punk rock is doing pretty good here in Finland. But
Yeah.
some of the bands come here, but it's been a while since the last time, for like fat record bands come here. I can't even remember when was the last time. And they can turn out a quite decent crowd. Maybe 500 people will show up. Or when the queers
Yeah.
came, we opened up for the queers. There was maybe
Oh, nice.
uh, like 300 people maybe or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, speaking of Lagwagon, well, I haven't seen him in like 10.
Lagwagon was actually the first punk, like skate punk rock, if you want to call it skate punk. That was the first album that I ever heard. It was Trashed. And I still
Yeah.
remember listening to the Trashed album. I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. I still love the band, but that was really, really cool album.
Yeah, that hands down, they're my favorites. They're my favorite punk band of all time. I mean, I've followed those guys. Haas was my introduction to them, and then I went
Mhm.
back to Trash and went back to Duh. But then I heard Haas and I was like, this is the most incredible stuff. And I try to I'm in Florida, and those West Coast punk bands, they might get out here every once in a while. But like I said, I've seen them once, so that was really good. They came with no effects at one point, but yeah, no, Lagwagon, the whole Fat Records kind of catalog, back in the '90s was like my bread and butter. But yeah, I definitely love and Trash is an amazing record too, because it's so different than Haas,
Yeah,
right? It's like more, it's almost
yeah,
more metal. It's almost more metal, and Haas is more pop punk stuff.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's why I gravitated to the Lagwagon because it reminded me a little bit about the thrash metal scene
Yeah,
that I've been listening to so many years. But I remember that immediately I started listening to because back then you just flip the record and check out what bands they are thanking. They are
yep,
thanking like NoFX, No Use for Names, Strung Out. And of course, we bought all of those bands' albums, but they were so technical and so hard to play. But that's when I heard the Lookout records, like Queers, Screechy Weasel, early Green Day, and that's when I start to learn like punk rock music, actually like playing like, okay, I can fuck around with these 4 chords like this because they aren't
right,
doing any technical shit. So
right,
Screechy Weasel and the Queers and the Green Days were the how I started to actually know how to write some songs or play with the songs. You can't do it with the Lagwagon or those kind of bands because they're so technical.
it always seems like that would be a really hard and tricky thing to learn, like the strung outs and those technical progressive skate punk kind of bands, trying to learn. But like you said, those
Yeah,
3-4 chord bands, the Green Days and Weasel, I was a huge fan of Bark Like a Dog, and a lot of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Weasel things in there that'll offset the Riverdales and Hagfish and all those
Hackfish, yeah, yeah.
yeah, all those bands. I really, those Ramones chord, what they call it nowadays. I love those kind of bands, and you got bands like yours and bands like Teenage Bottle Rocket that are carrying on that tradition. And I love that style of music. And what I love about the Odorants and yours, you're not just that kind of Ramones-esque stuff. You guys put almost an '80s like new wave vibe into it that I hear. With the keys, just like something so it's hard to describe. It reminds me of growing up. Some of the stuff that you use in your songs, to where it's not just the 3 chords, 4 chords. There's more stuff going on, than that. I don't know if it's something deliberate, what you guys put in. I don't know. Maybe you could tell me.
Yeah, well, I've always been a big fan of The Cure, so maybe unconsciously I can put some Cure stuff in the songs, maybe. But with this record, the Perry Leenhouts from Travoltas, he produced
Yeah.
this album. He
Oh,
did a
wow.
lot of synth sounds and really he was really producing this record, so I couldn't thank enough for what he did with this record. But he had a lot of ideas, like especially with the keyboards. And actually, Jaakko fuck around with synths also, so he did a lot of
Yeah.
synth stuff on the background. You can, if you listen carefully, there's
Yeah.
some really cool background synth stuff in many of the songs. So he did all those.
Yeah, that's it's one of those really cool like elements, right? There's more to it than just hearing 3 chords, 4 chords, you know, verse, chorus,
Yeah.
verse, chorus. There's like a lot more going on. And you put the headphones on, you're hearing more different things on there, and it just
Yeah.
it reminds, for some reason it just reminds me of like the 80s new wave mixed in with Ramones core. And you know, not every song is like that, but there are some songs where it kind of takes me back. And I was listening to it today. I was listening to the album Love Songs Never Die, and it's one of those albums to me as well. And I know if it's a good album from start to finish, that like either I could turn it up and I could jam out and I could rock to it, or I can put it in the background and it's ambient noise and I love it. You know what I mean? That's when I know it's like a really good, a really good record. Like either you can turn it up or you can turn it down. Either way, it's going to sound awesome. And not a lot of bands you could say that about. Like, you know, Mudvayne. You're not going to listen to like a metal band like Mudvayne and, you know, keep it down low. You know what I mean? You're going to want to rock out a Pantera or any of those. Machine Head. You're going to want to turn those up. But turning them down, it's kind of like you need to know what's going on. But that's what I love about your record.
Oh, thank you. That were really kind words, kind words. But I think the same. You know, when I got the mixes, I really listened to them also. Not like really like studying every song that if everything is correct, but just put it on the background and just do your normal day shit and listen to the on the background. I actually did that, so it's a nice way of saying. You're right.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's something I just thought about. I dropped my kids off at school and I was listening to what song was it? It was Night of the Living Dead, and I was like, you know, this is a really great song. And then I had to turn it down as I was dropping my kids off, and I didn't turn it back up. And I'm like, you know, this just reminds me. I mean, it's so good. It's just like I could have it like this, and when I want to, like, you know, when I'm raging in traffic and I want to like throw the middle finger up, then I turn it up, and I'm good. I'm good to go there. So. It's a stupid analogy, but just go with it.
Exactly. You're right.
All right, so let's talk about the album. So you said you recorded it with Perry, and Perry's from the Travoltas, which is another one of my favorite bands. I love those guys. I've been a fan for years. And I've discovered those guys so many times on compilation CDs. You know, we're talking about the bands that thank other bands on the records, but another way I've discovered bands was on compilation CDs. And it seems like over the years, the Travoltas were like on a lot of these comp CDs, and every song that the Travoltas had were just amazing. What was it like working with Perry on this record? And you know, he brought a little something different than because he didn't do when Tigers Used to Smoke, right? So he was new to this project, right?
No. Yeah, well, we did Tiger's album just by ourselves with this Antti, who was also a little bit producing and tracking the songs and mixing the songs. But he mastered the album actually. That's how I got connected with Perry, because I heard it on a podcast actually. It was Dummy Room podcast that he's living in Stockholm, Sweden, so almost like a neighbor. So when we finished the album mixing, I contacted him that would he like to master the album. And he was like, yeah, sure. And after he done it, we just started talking about the possible next record, and he was really like into it. And then I just asked like, would you want to do the whole album? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And then I flew to Stockholm for a few days, and we just like talked about a little bit about the songs. I spent there like 2 days or 3 days, just like a pre-production, and everything like was going so smoothly. And then we decided to okay, let's do this. And after a couple of months from that, we flew to Stockholm and spent there like I don't know, a week and a half or something like that, and did the whole record there. And he did all the pre-production, track the songs, mix the songs, mastered, produce it, gave shitload of ideas, even lyrics.
Yeah.
He did really a lot to that record. So he's like a fourth member of the album actually. And if you read the inside of the album that you have back there, it says Perry Odorant. It's Perry Odorant there.
I didn't notice that. Yeah,
he has the last name now.
Nice.
So yeah. He's really the sweetest guy, and yeah, I couldn't say enough positive things about him. He's the coolest. I
Yeah,
miss him.
it's definitely it definitely sounds a lot different from when Tigers used to smoke. Not in a bad way, but you could tell there
Yeah,
was definitely a different twist, and I knew that there was something different. And I had to backtrack to make sure, like, okay, well, who are they working with on there? This album, and I'll tell you this right now. Like, it was released in January, right? When was this record released?
yeah, it was this January, like
January. Yeah.
yeah, 4 months ago.
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite records of the year. I love it, and
Oh,
I
thank you.
ordered it from Striped Music. It cost me a little bit of money. We were talking before the podcast, but it was well worth
Yeah,
it to get that. But I also got the Travoltas vinyl as well. But it is one of my favorite records of this year. I just love it because every song on there just gets me in some kind of way. I've always
Cool.
loved the style of music. I love, we were talking earlier about the new wave elements or the synth elements. I love that kind of stuff when that's implemented. Going into this album, what was the direction you guys kind of wanted to go into in making this one? Did you want it to be something different than when Tigers used to smoke, or were you trying to, improve or make better songs? What was your thought process going through it?
Yeah, we talked about with Jaakko and PC that we want to make like a big sounding record for the first time of our lives. Let's just make a big sounding pop punk rock album if we can. And I remember when I was calling with Perry, and Perry asked like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know. I want to sound like you too. I just want to sound big." And he was laughing like, "Okay, like you too. That's a good reference." But obviously it was a joke. But yeah, that's like the short version. We wanted to sound big for the first time of our life. Because obviously we've done like shoestring budget records also back when we were young. Not like we had a big budget this time, but
Yeah.
maybe we are all grown up and we had like I said, week and a half doing it. It was really cool environment and everything was laid back. So maybe that was the element that we achieved this big sound. Or I think it sounds big, but I don't know the rest of the world. But to me, it sounds huge actually.
Yeah, it does a mission accomplished. It sounds huge. It does definitely sound huge. When Tigers used to smoke, it was great, and it was in the raw element, and it was, it was good for for the album and what it was. But this new album, there was just something where it almost opens up, right? There's a lot of like reverb
Hmm.
and a lot of
Yeah.
just really killer stuff. It just sounds huge. And one of those songs on there, and you have a music video for, is Transylvanian Shredder, which is more
Yeah.
fast-paced song, and I love it. What is this song? What's the song about? The Transylvanian Shredder. Is it anything about anything? Do you have any meanings? Are these all deep, non-deep meaning songs, or does this one have one?
Uh, yeah, those are also always the tough questions. What are they meaning? Like the car radio. I have no idea actually what the song is. It's a love song, but
Yeah.
with Transylvania Shredder, I wanted to do some like you talked about, the Night of the Living Dead. That's the other song that I wanted to write something like dumb, tongue in cheek, like a horror
Yeah.
movie or whatever, And I just had an idea of a werewolf in
Yeah.
Romania who wanted to surf, and then he flew to Malibu and paddled out straight into the peak and yelled out, "Fuck all you cooks! I'm better than you." It was just a dumb story. It's just a
Yeah.
werewolf who
No, it's
wanted to surf
perfect.
in Malibu.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I love those tongue in cheek kind of things. I didn't, it's one of those things where it kind of breaks up the the seriousness of some of the songs and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, and you could just shred, and you're just talking about just crazy stuff that you're painting a picture in people's heads, and that's what I love about that song.
also another surf song in the Tiger album. It's called Night Surfer, where he was like this Satan worshipper who's a Satan worshipper, and he's like summoning the waves to come, and he's also singing about the kooks there. So I just wanted to have like another surf song where they say something about the kooks, because I'm a wannabe surfer, wannabe surfer all my life. So I love kooks. I'm a kook myself.
Yeah, is there a lot of surfing spots up in Finland or no?
No. Just on holidays. Just on
Yeah.
holidays when you go, when you have the money, you go to somewhere South Spain, and then you try to catch a few waves. And but I'm a lifetime cook.
Yeah. No, I surfed a lot in high school, and I surfed a little bit after high school. Yeah, but I was a boogie boarder like growing up when I was a kid, and I was a kook because I was a boogie boarder, and all my friends were riding, the short boards and stuff here in Florida, and I just loved being on my belly and doing all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until I was a little bit older, and then I got older, and then I bought a big giant, they call it a fun stick, it was like 6 or 7 feet tall, surfboard, and I had a really good time for a couple of summers. But surfing is awesome, and it's great, and that's so cool that you create songs around it, and that's badass. I love it. All right, so
I would surf all the time if I would live near the ocean. I would surf all the time. I would like dedicate my my life to it if I would live like near the ocean. Here in Finland, you can surf when there's big storms near the coastline, but not where I live. But when the big storm hits, you can have a wave or two. But I'm not that into cold water. I want my warm water, and try to learn that way.
Yeah, what's your perfect spot? What's your perfect ideal location to go surfing or wanting to retire? And let's say you're retiring and you're like, all right,
it's in the
every morning.
It's actually in the Canary Islands near Morocco. If you look the globe, it's near Morocco. There's these small islands that belongs to Spain. In Finland, you can get like a cheap flights every now and then because it's like some say it's like a hillbilly holiday place where lots of people go and get drunk, but actually there's some really cool beaches and waves in those islands. So I just love the Canary Islands. So whenever we have money with me and my wife, we used to go there like maybe I don't know, 5 times or something like that. In this Las Palmas, it's a city, really cool beach and small waves for a kook like me.
No, that's perfect. No, you don't need anything big. You just need something rideable that you can just have a good time with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's talk about I'm going to talk about one more song here. It's called Funeral. I love the chorus. The chorus just like hooks me. And there's some really, and one of the things about the chorus, I love Susu Studio playing at your funeral. Made me remember the nights in the backseat of your GTO. It was such a random reference. I think only 80s kids, get the Susu Studio a reference. But I was like, oh hell yeah, Susu Studio, and it just fit perfect with the chorus. Let's talk about that song, and I'm not going to ask you what it's meaning, but talk about like making that song and how it all came about.
It's one of those hard questions again, but I have no recollection when I made it. But I remember I was singing about Love Songs Never Die song, and then my wife's like making a joke like, oh, you are again singing about some ex-girlfriends maybe, or some like a jokey way. And then she said like, how come you don't write a song about me? And then I was like, that's a good line. And then it was like, why can't you write me a love song too? Okay, here's one for you. And then I got the idea of Studio playing my wife's funeral because she's dead. In a weird, twisted mind of mine, I made a love song to my wife.
Now that I'm alone, wish I could turn back time, I wish I could. I held my breath and watch your lips turn blue. Yeah, this one's for you, Studio. Playing at your funeral, make me remember the nights, the backseat of the GTO. Studio, playing at
she's in her funeral, and Susudio is playing on the background.
So so is she like desperately like afraid that you actually are gonna play it if she goes before you, or is it just one of those like
Yeah.
she loved that song too? She's like, yeah, go ahead and play it.
Yeah, actually, she really likes that song a lot. Yeah, yeah. But it was a funny one also. Funny lyrics, but it's like a kind of dark and sad song. But
Yeah.
also a little bit funny about the Susudio references, if people know the song, you know.
Yeah, no, it was such a random out of the blue, and I'm like, did you just say Studio? And like, it's hard for me to even say.
Yeah.
It was just so weird and random, and that's why it caught my attention. And it goes so well with the lyrics and the chorus and everything. So awesome. But
Cool.
yeah, so how did you get involved with Striped Music or Striped Records, and eventually get signed and be able to put this record out?
It was just a lucky shot. We sent the album to a bunch of record labels, and many of the labels actually answered something, but they didn't listen to the songs. They just answered like some random shit, like, "Ah, okay, you're from Finland. Okay, cool. Let's see." But the producer Perry had this like, we sent it via him, you know, and he could see if the people actually listened to it. It was like a file that we send it to the labels, and if somebody clicks the file, Perry would see back in Stockholm, like, okay, they are checking out the songs. So actually, many record labels sent something back, but they didn't even listen to the album at all. They didn't even click one. They had time
Yeah.
to type answer like, okay, you're from Finland. Let's see. I don't know, but they didn't
Right.
have time to press play and just listen to a few minutes of the songs, which is actually kind of weird.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just we got lucky. Andrea and Luca, the Stripe Record owners, were both at the warehouse doing some random shit, and they got my mail, and then they just pressed play, and both of them were there, and they were like, "Okay, this sounds pretty cool." And then we started writing back and forth, and that's how it happened. Just a
Yeah.
coincidence that the both of them were there and pressed and listened to the songs together, and yeah, just luck. Because nowadays there's millions of bands all around the
Mm.
world sending demos, and I
Sure.
kind of understand how come labels don't want to hear it, because they get the messages, I don't know, like bigger labels, how many demos they get per day, I don't know, maybe fucking thousands or something. So I kind of get the idea that they don't even want to listen to the anymore. But yeah, it was a lucky
Yeah.
shot, and then they pressed play, and both of them were there.
Yeah, no, it's so tricky that you can do that. I mean, I know that's an option that you can do that with emails. You can see if they've even opened up the emails, but I didn't know that you could see if they opened up the song and played the song. That's really cool. And, and it always
Yeah.
intrigued me about how bands get signed, right? Because like you said, there are hundreds of bands that probably submit to every single label, just hoping somebody listens to them. And I always love the story of bands when they get discovered, or people they know through this person or that person, or just as a random thing that they sent off, and one day they got a phone call. It's always a really cool story for me, because you can build these relationships and kind of grow with the label if it's a smaller label, or get more
Mhm.
attention by signing with a bigger label. So it's always a really cool story for me, or for me to learn how these bands get, how bands like yours get signed. So that's really cool how everything worked out. And good.
Yeah, nowadays it's mainly, I think, luck. It's the biggest thing. Well, it's always been
Yeah.
luck, like in a big way, but I think now it's even more, because I think the studio and people can record songs so easily now at back home. So I
Yeah.
think the stand like the if bands want to make demos, it's so much easier nowadays. They can just go to somebody's laptop and make a
Yeah.
demo and send immediately to the label. So that's why I think there's not even hundreds, there's maybe thousands of punk rock bands right now sending demos to same labels that we sent, you know.
Sure, sure. No, absolutely. So let's talk about live shows and performing and stuff. I know you guys are doing some shows around there. Can you talk a little bit more about the shows there? And as a follow-up question, do you have plans one day to maybe tour the States or play some shows in the States? Can we see the Odorant somewhere in the future?
Oh man, the States would be really, really cool, but the visas are always the problem, you know. There's like
Oh,
an
okay.
artist, I don't know if you know the visa problems. But that's why not many punk rock bands, like small punk bands, don't come to the States because it costs so much. You have to get like an artist visa, even though you are
Really?
making, I don't know, $100, $200 a show. You're doing like a 10 shows in the States. Let's say you get like maybe $1,500, but still you have to have a artist visa, and that cost, I don't know. We checked those, but those cost like maybe 2,000 euros just to buy the
Really?
visa to come to the States. Yeah,
For
then
a
you have to
year?
buy the flights. I can't remember how long is it, but for
Yeah.
example, if we would come there for a few week tour, we have to buy the visa, we have to buy the flights. So no way you can even break even. That break
Yeah.
even is impossible. So you would
Yeah.
lose money definitely. But we were thinking about those actually. That if we could get like a cheaper visa for like we don't know yet if there even are that kind of like a smaller band visas, but if there's an option, we would definitely come there for a few week run. It would be, yeah, dream come true. But we've actually been talking about it and checking some shit out. But now it looks, I don't know, impossible. You
Yeah.
can always come without the visa, but that's a really tricky. Well, now I'm even saying it out loud, so I'm not
Yeah.
coming because
Well,
I don't have the balls to. I don't have the balls to come
right.
there because if you get caught, you're permanently banned from the states, even
Oh,
for a
really?
holiday. You can't come to
Yeah.
the states at all in your lifetime.
Oh, that's so crazy. Because I was just getting ready to say, I'm like, why don't you guys, just come on a holiday and like have, friends over here or rent equipment at like Sam Ash or something and just set up and play and then come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish it would be that simple. We would come there in a heartbeat. But I've heard some horror stories here in Finland and all the some other bands in Europe that they tried to come there and got busted at the border. And
Wow.
one band was in Canada, stopped in Canada, and then they wanted to come back to the States, got busted on the border again, and now lifetime ban, never coming even for a holiday. And one of
Wow.
my friends had this like cheesy small like a gypsy kind of banjo punk rock band, and he bought the banjo from the States like ahead from New York, and then
Mhm.
he just flew to the New York with just a backpack and I'm on a holiday. But still they started to question all like these different things, and he just
Really?
cracked, and they got the information out of him that he's like an artist and he's coming to the States for a few shows and banned for life.
God bless it. I had no idea that that was such an issue and that was such a serious
Yeah,
thing.
it's a tricky
Wow.
one. And if you come like a tourist, you can't like advertise those shows before. If you put it on the Instagram, like, yeah, Anssi is from the Odorants and he's promoting shows somewhere in the States. And when you come to the States, they can like check out all the information you have. Like, okay, let's see Anssi music, Finland. They can do all kind of stuff at the border, so they can find out a
Yeah.
lot more than you even know. So it's
Wow. Wow.
not worth trying.
Yeah, and I get it. And if you try to do it, the legal way, and I get it, you're not going to make the money back. I mean, that's a lot of money for the artist. But that's so crazy, dude. That's ridiculous. And it
Yeah,
explains a
I
lot.
love
Does it explain?
America. Yeah, I love America, but I hate the border situations there. It's impossible to come.
Yeah, yeah. Don't even get me started on all that stuff.
Mm,
But all right, so
yeah,
let's talk
let's
about the
let's
shows.
not go to politics.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's talk about shows that you are playing and some. You are you playing some festivals? I heard soon.
Yeah, we're playing one festival in Italy. It's called Punk Rock Reduno. I don't know if you heard the one, but it's
Mhm.
this. It's one of the coolest punk festivals in Europe, actually. But it's in Bergamo, Italy. The headline is Mean Jeans. I don't know, you know Mean Jeans?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, they're cool band. I really love to
Yeah.
see them first time. They play in Saturday headlining. We play in Friday. I forgot the date, but it's in July. I think people, if you're checking out this podcast, you probably even know the Punk Rock Reduno Festival. But we play in there Friday this July.
All
But
right.
that's the
Sweet.
only show we have booked. Actually,
Oh, really?
we
Okay.
did a
Yeah.
run. Yeah, sorry.
You did a run where now?
No, we did a run in January in Italy for 5 or 6 shows, and we love it there. We can't wait to go back there. It's a really cool country for small punk bands like us. People are really into that kind of music there. It's really cool.
There's running Signal Chords. I'm handling bands from all over the country. You're in Finland, and there's a really great Italian band called Weekend Cigarettes. I don't know if you heard them. Really cool skate punk. If you like that Fat Records, kind of sound. The really killer band. And hopefully I'll have them on the podcast here down the line. But they're really great. There's a lot of I'm discovering a lot of new music, not just in my area. You know what I mean? For years I was just listening to American music, all that kind of stuff. But running Signal Chords, I wanted to discover even more beyond my borders and stuff, and discovering bands like yours, and finding out bands that are making the music that I love and grew up with and stuff, and it's all over and it's all universal. I mean, it's so awesome, that everybody's still doing it and keeping that music alive. And I'm glad that you guys are keeping it alive. So what's next for the Odorants as far as I'm not going to say any new music. Obviously, you just released this record. What's the future hold for the Odorants?
Yeah, well, we just gonna do some shows every while we can. We are all working and have families and shit like that, so we can't do any tours or not like that. But we try to do a few shows here and then, and let's see what happens. I don't know. I just hope the record sells out, and T-shirts are almost sold out, so I'm happy about that. But let's hope the record will be sold out, and then we can slowly start to think the next one. I think we're gonna do one more record. I got a pretty good hunch about that. Actually, I have the title already, so we have to do one more album because I have the title. No, I don't want to say it, but it's a it's a saying in a horror movie. Let's just say that one kid says that line in a horror movie. Let's say
that. All right. Let me guess. No. Freddy Krueger, let's get high. No.
Good one though.
Yeah, no, it's a classic line.
But yeah, we try to do more shows every while we can, and yeah, that's about it. Do shows, make music, have fun, just keep it easy, chill.
Yeah, no, I get that, man. So you're talking about shirts and almost sold out and vinyl. Where can people check out your merchandise and buy your records and buy your shirt and all that kind of stuff? And I'll put it down on the link here on the podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, everything is on sale on Stripe Records, shirts and albums. But there's six shirts left, if I remember correctly. So when they're gone, they're gone. We probably make a new design. But if you wanted that shirt, that's almost sold out. And I also heard that the vinyl was doing pretty good, is doing pretty good. So not many copies left, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna graciously promote the. I always forget what the camera is. There it is, right there. And I love the gloss, like the super high gloss. Not a lot of those.
Yeah.
Not a lot of bands do the high gloss on the vinyl, and that's nice little red, little orange reddish. I love it.
Yes, it's a really cool one. Really cool one.
So cool, man.
Ricardo.
What's that?
Just want to get a shout out to Ricardo, who did the covers. He has done many Screechy Weasel posters and albums also. So it was really cool to have that guy doing our album.
No, it's awesome. I love the artwork, and I'm a huge fan of like any of those tour posters, album art, all that kind of stuff. And it's perfect. I'm looking forward to you telling me what the name of the new album or could be, or when it's coming, or any of that kind of stuff. But Anssi, I really appreciate you talking to me today on the podcast. I'm
no
a
worries.
Huge fan of yours. I'm a huge fan personally. Love what you guys are doing. I wish all the best in what you guys do, and please keep making music, and I'll keep buying and supporting you any way I can.
Hey, thank you very much for the kind words. I also love your Instagram pages. I always checking out many of the new bands that I've discovered. It was from your Instagram, so it was really cool. And you're doing a shit lot of work actually. You are posting like every day some new band is like on your Instagram. So
yeah, I mean,
where do you have the time to do that?
Well, I have 3 kids, a wife, a full-time job, a podcast. Any spare time that I get in my life, I love what I do. I love supporting bands. I've always loved discovering new music. Music means the world to me. I was never blessed with the gift of being able to play music. I've tried many damn time, especially the bass. I've told a lot of people that I wish I was, you wish you were a surfer. I wish I was, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I'll never be that. So, it's just one of those things where I want to give back any way I can, because music has meant so much to me over the years. So, and talking to you and having the opportunities to talk to, some of the bands that I love, and this is the real reward right here. And I really appreciate you joining the podcast and everything that you do.
Really
and
cool.
all the support you've had for me and Signal Chords, man. I really appreciate it, Anssi.
Thank you, sir.